Hey everyone, it's Monday, February 3rd, 2025, and welcome to the One Question series. Today we're going to talk about the Proclamation of 1763. Now, the Proclamation of 1763 was an official order that said settlers, including the Pilgrims, could not move west beyond the Royal Proclamation line, which was essentially the Appalachian Mountains. Dr. Yaffa, you've mentioned this over the years, but can you explain a little bit more in detail about the Royal Proclamation of 1763?
Well, like you said, I've mentioned it in brief multiple times, but let me just say this: the European Americans that everybody erroneously calls white came here on boats, and a lot of them were deposited on the 13 penal colonies. Well, a penal colony is like a place of punishment, okay? Like they talk about the penal code, okay? The punishment code. The 13 penal colonies were for people that, you know how President Trump is always saying, they're not even sending us the best of the best of the best. They're sending us the worst of the worst. They're opening their jails and their insane asylums and letting those people come loose over here. Well, this is not the first time. A lot of those people that were deposited on the 13 colonies were released from the jails and the insane asylums and allowed to come over here. Okay? And they were a problem over there and a bigger problem over here. But when King Charles III, I believe it was King Charles III, don't quote me on that because my history is a little rough, but I believe it was King Charles III of England, or Europe, wherever. I think he was in Britain, England, whatever. I always get that crap confused because other than the fact that they've made us miserable, I don't care. However, I guess our ancestors were complaining about the kidnaps, the cannibalism, the pedophilia, the rape, and the sodomy of our women, our children, both genders. And it got back over there to King Charles, and he basically told them, hey, I am declaring a royal proclamation that no one is supposed to go west of this line. And all you got to do is type in Royal Proclamation line on any decent search engine, and it'll show you, if you click on images, it'll show you a picture of where the Royal Proclamation line is. And he said no one from here is supposed to go west of that line. Any of you guys that are already west of that line, basically get your behinds back on the east side of that line. Everything west of there is for those Aborigines of America, the American Indians. It's not for you. You're not supposed to be there. So some land surveyors or whatnot got on this whole, we want to become rich over here. We want to become oligarchs over here. And we have to come up with a way to get the people to rise up against this, because they're good at manipulating the people. So they started with the whole, these Indians are savages and they're this and they're that, and we don't want to be paying taxes to the king. And so they started rebelling about tea taxes and stamp taxes, which it wasn't about taxes. It was about land grabs. It's always about land grabs and power grabs and resource grabs and how many children can we still grab? It's always that. So somebody encouraged them, hey, we need to rise up against the king. We're going to fight our battle against the British royal crowns and the royal armies so that we could go west of the Royal Proclamation line. So they fought their fight, and they drafted their own Declaration of Independence. You're a subject, and you wrote your own freedom papers, and you expect that crap to fly. And you got your Constitution put together from our people based on our Constitution. But nobody wants to talk about that. That's why they don't want to teach real history, because then their children will know just how much they wouldn't have going on if it were not for our ancestors, who they found here, didn't bring here, found here, who fought to help liberate them from their damn oppressors. But okay. So what they did is, after they did the Declaration of Independence and declared themselves free, then it was like, go west, young man, go west, young man. And they all started running west and driving our people insane, making our lives flipping miserable on the take, rape, rob, pillage, plunder, kill mission. But the Royal Proclamation is still in effect and it's still valid. Just like the barristers of the city of London left the city of London and came to the United States in the, I want to say, late 1990s, came to the United States to tell what they kept calling you Yanks. Who told you Yanks that y'all were free? Who told you that you are not subjects of the crown heads of Europe? Where'd you get that from? Well, if the barristers left the city of London, and the barristers of London are over every bar association on the planet, when they start talking, you might want to listen. But they do what they do well, narcissism. They wouldn't listen. They were over talking and, going back and forth. But we freed ourselves. We free. And they're like, you can't free. Even if you think you won the war, you can't just write your own piece of paper and say and declare yourself free. Who told you you're good? They got, the barristers of London, they got so frustrated trying to talk to what they kept calling you Yanks. They just said, you know what? Y'all do you. We out. And but they're not supposed to be west of the Royal Proclamation line by royal order and royal edict of King Charles III, I believe, of England or Britain. I get this shit mixed up. And that stuff is still in effect. That is why they are so heavily armed. That's why they require the Second Amendment, to make sure that the government can never come and take back what they feel like, well, we stole it fair and square. We killed off all the Indians, and there are no Indians left, so this is ours. 9/10 of the law of possession.
Many people don't realize this, but the proclamation made it very clear who that land was meant for. Let's read exactly what it said. 1. The lands beyond the sources of the rivers which fall into the Atlantic Ocean from the west and northwest are reserved for the Indians. The second quote from the document. No governor or commander-in-chief shall grant lands beyond the Royal Proclamation line to any settlers. 3. We strictly forbid, on pain of our displeasure, any purchases or settlements on lands reserved for the Indians. And lastly, any persons who have already settled upon these lands must remove themselves immediately. Now, the Proclamation of 1763 specifically used the term Indians. It never said anything about Native Americans.
Native Americans weren't even here at the time.
That being said, any purchases,
most of it was stolen, never purchased. But go ahead.
Or stolen land past the Royal Proclamation line should and is considered null and void.
And that's still in effect. That's why they keep telling our people, y'all are black and y'all from Africa, y'all ashamed of Africa. As long as they can keep all eyes on Africa, our eyes won't go to everything west of the Royal Proclamation line that you're not even supposed to be on. That Royal Crown Edict is still in effect. But if you keep saying you're black and African and from Africa, it doesn't apply to you. You can be deported because you're not one of the American Indians that were freed, because it was the American Indians that were put into bondage. And, we did a video on this show, basically told you, because they're like, oh, well, y'all ain't never been slaves, and I've never owned any slaves, so why should I have to pay? There's a lot of reasons why, and screw reparations. I can't stand it when I hear that. Oh, we're talking about, we're going to create a panel to discuss. Screw your panels to discuss. We want restoration and restitution. Restitch, put us back together, and restore. Restitch, restore. Restoration, restitution. You can take your reparations to repair or repar or recut and shove that up your rear. I don't know why my people keep talking about that. We don't want, need, or require reparations. We want, need, and require restitution and restoration. That's why I had a show called American Empire Restored, not repared or repaired. You can go take your car to the shop for repair. You can take your car to the shop to be restored. Big difference. So when it's all said and done, if you comprehend what they have to look, kind of goes back to an interview I think that you and I did where we were talking about, why are we always in their heads rent free? Why do they fear us? Why are they jealous of us? This is why. This is one of the reasons why. Everything west of the Royal Proclamation line belongs to our people. Everything right of it, everything east of it belongs to us also. But they were supposed to stay on the 13 colonies. I covered that in an interview some years back. Probably more than once. And I talk about it and I bring it up. They're not supposed to be here. And Germany and Germans kept wanting them to start cutting down the trees. And this is what the people in the Atlanta, Georgia area were complaining about. It's like, y'all cutting down all this tree stuff to bring in people from God only knows where to teach them how to be police killers over our people. That's what I don't like about Trump. You are entirely too supportive of these, what's the word I want to look for? Assassins. Bro, I can't support you just for that. That's the only reason he lost me. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I still like the guy because unlike a lot of our people, I don't have emotional reactions. I listen intently, then I'll research, and then I will make an intelligible decision about a thing. But our people, if you hear the wrong thing, it's an emotional response. It's like you don't even have all the details. You don't even have all the facts yet. So all we need to do is lay back and wait, watch and see. But now he's like, we're going to take 1 to 1.5% of the federal government lands and build new cities. Well, I'm pretty sure he's talking about building new cities for them to be separate from us. And maybe they're burning down a lot of this stuff to leave our people in burned down squalor. I don't know. Fine. Because guess what? We're very, very resilient. And we can rebuild it, but y'all need to leave us alone. Keep your assassins off of us. And this whole, you're not supposed to be around here. I'm supposed to be here wherever I want to go. We don't necessarily have to move into your new city. Don't even want to, especially if it's a 15-minute city. Ain't trying to hear it. But if we're on an interstate going somewhere, don't do what you've been doing. Executing us, robbing us, stealing our cars, stealing our cash, stealing our jewelry, stealing our cell phones, whatnot. And they can act like the cops don't do it all they want to. I know many, many, many people personally that have been robbed by the police. Many. So this whole Royal Proclamation line, King Charles III said, do not go west of it. And if you are west of it, get your A back east of it. Everything west of it belongs to the American Indians. Stay away from over there. You don't belong there. But once they fought their war and wrote themselves their freedom papers, they turned around as criminals kicked out of jail and nut jobs kicked out of insane asylums will do, and they became our worst nightmare because they didn't send the best of the best over here. They sent the worst of the worst over here then, and President Trump might be right. I think they're sending the worst of the worst over here now. And I'm not saying everybody's, because some of these people really do need asylum. Some of these people have come here from very dangerous scenarios, and to return them back to their countries is going to basically be death for them or torture and torment for them. However, nobody cares about our death and our torture and torment. And I'm not saying we don't care. I'm saying we ain't got time to focus on y'all problems. We got problems of our own that we need to deal with. And we can't cry any more tears for y'all because nobody's crying any tears for us. That's what I know about that Royal Proclamation line. That crap is still in order from the crown head of Europe. They don't listen. Just like you can go in court all day and quote their laws and rules and regulations. There's a group of people who swear an oath every year to not honor anything they say to the goy, to the cattle. No matter what they say, no matter what they promise, it's not even lying to you because they swore an oath that they could lie to you about anything and everything and get away with it, spiritually and biblically, because they did this little bull crap bogus oath. So, yeah, we wrote these laws, but like you just saw with Hunter, what did God say? Nobody's above the law, but then you turn around and put Hunter above the law, and you turn around and put Fauci above the law, and all these other people above the law. But I'm going to say, and I'm not a lawyer, but based on my perspective, you mentally challenged senior citizen who doesn't even remember his own name sometimes, don't know where you are, can barely walk up. So you fall up the stairs, you fall down the stairs. You don't even remember what you signed half the time, or what anybody said to you half the time, or what anybody's talking about half the time, and you're not mentally competent. You're not mentally competent to stand trial. Therefore, you are not mentally competent to pardon anybody. No matter what you signed and said about who can't be held liable, that should not even be valid because you're not mentally competent to say who can and cannot be held liable under your pardon. Your pardon doesn't count because you're mentally mind gone. Nothing you say should hold any weight in any court of law. And if President Donald John Trump really wants to do something, say, that dude is incompetent. Take that stuff to the Supreme Court. So let you or me try something like that when we are mentally diminished in our capacity, it won't hold up. We can't get nothing to hold up when we're fully functional. And he shouldn't be able to either. So y'all swear your oath to put yourselves above the law. You pardoned your own son for all crimes committed for the last 15 years, whether known or unknown. That shouldn't stand. Maybe if you were competent, it wouldn't be right, but you might be able to get it to stand. But being mentally challenged, nah, bro. That shouldn't be allowed to fly anywhere with anyone that has a half of a pea brain. Your brain ain't functioning. Your pardon isn't valid because your brain isn't functioning. For your son or Fauci or anybody else. And on that note, that's what I know about the Royal Proclamation and the Royal Proclamation line of 1763. Harambe.